Welcome back to CryptoZonZ, peer-to-peer financial empowerment. Hashtag love all, serve others. Bitcoin Rocket Fuel Episode 3. In this episode, we're going to discuss some of the ongoing reasons or developing reasons that continue to cause me to think that this will provide rocket fuel for Bitcoin and or cryptos. And we'll get right into it. Yesterday there was a Senate Finance Committee meeting where they discussed the nature or the topics of the digital dollar. They brought up some of the nuances of the Libra coin, which really has forced a lot of the discussion. That's one reason why I called it one of the most important developments of 2019, the Mark Zuckerberg Facebook-inspired Libra project. It presents a very separate economy, and because it's different than anything that has existed before, it would essentially exist on the Messenger system or the WhatsApp platform also, which are owned by Facebook, and it separates money from the existence or the existing economy, and so then it provides a lot of monetary power for, assuming that it gets success. But they have, well over 1 billion people on those active every month on those apps, and Mark, I think he said they've got over 2 billion. But when you couple that with the DCEP, soon to be launched in China, the CBDC, the central bank digital currency known as digital currency electronic payment, they're trialing that in 4 different zones and will likely launch that by the end of the year or early of next year. And that also presents a competition to the dollar or also the euro. That's a very large economic zone in Europe and causes a great competition, uncertainty for right now, and it really serves to shake up the way that things are operating presently. So we've got to think about how, no one knows what will actually happen. It's got to play out for us to see how all of these things will work out, but these are definitely some things that are going to be coming on board. What we're seeing is that the central banks of the world, the IMF in particular, they have something that's called the SDR. This is another currency. It's called the special drawing rights. But what the IMF is like a buyer of last resort, or banks backing up the banks, if you will. But we've seen trends in the last 2 years, especially, where they have a lower percentage of dollars backing up their reserves and a much higher percentage of gold reserves. And that is the trend which is existent in other large central banks around the world. So it's definitely something that it essentially provides rocket fuel for alternative or new technologies that are coming on board. We have the SWIFT system, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. They, during June of 2020, had 500 million messages sent. It sends financial messages across the world, and they're able to execute financial communications, transactions of trillions of dollars, and it's just immensely important historically and still of very, very great importance in the global technology and the global economic right now. But that is something that the way that they communicate that data is archaic to something that could transpire by using the blockchain. Another factor that really it bodes well for Bitcoin rocket fuel is just the continued increase in the innovation of the technology. One market specifically is what is known as the DeFi technology, decentralized finance technology, where some of these platforms that have been up and running for several years now, they're continuing to develop the use case and the depth of the technology and the excellence of the technology, and so that it becomes more widely acceptable amidst the cryptocurrency niche. And we're seeing that it's increasing greatly in popularity. If you want to Google something known as Compound, it's related to that, and it really provides a way for people to store and to execute transactions, and also for individuals or entities to gain profits. And it's a very important dynamic that's going on right now that is important for us to be aware of. Related to that is the stablecoin industry. Now that is, Tether is by far the most popular and the largest market cap. They have the USDT, the US dollar Tether. That project has been surrounded in controversy, but people who transact with it, they don't care about the controversy. They seriously don't. They just care about being able to transact something very quickly, and it really does serve that use case excellently. But it is something that is it's kind of like the SWIFT system, I think, in explaining it. The USDT, the Tether, is a function within the blockchain industry, the cryptocurrency industry, that people utilize that to make transactions, much like the big boys and the big boy bankers use to transact trillions of dollars across the world. And the US, for example, if someone disobeys or isn't agreeing with or causing some strife against the US, well, they can sanction them out of being able to utilize that system. But what we're seeing is with China and the DCEP, and they, in the recent past, have not had good relations with Russia, but recently, because they're developing some very important economic relations with Russia, which primarily serve to help them or aid and assist them in being able to break off from a dollar world reserve currency system. And I really believe that just those two large economies, China is the second largest economy, I think Russia is the fourth, but of course they're way up there, but with them being able to transact economically outside of the dollar really presents the central bankers who back up the banks with the conundrum. Well, it isn't necessarily a conundrum for them, but the reality of what they're doing is they are the buyer of last resort, so to speak. So what they keep a very close pulse on what is the best thing for them to use in their own banks for reserves. And as I mentioned before, they're showing a much less lower percentage of dollar reserves and a much higher percentage of reserves in alternate currencies or gold, things of that nature. Recently, something interesting that happened, there's a $1 billion transaction, I think it was Tuesday this week, and it looks like it was a private individual. When we see $1 billion cryptocurrency transactions on the blockchain, they're usually exchanges who have billions and multi-millions of dollars worth of liquidity that they use to move funds around. But this particular wallet, there is not a name attached to it like there would be in some of the exchanges where, like, say, a particular exchange, we know the name of who it was who transacted. But this particular $1 billion transaction didn't have a name attached to it. It looks like it may be an individual. We may or may not find out about it either, who it was, but it's a possibility that we might. Interestingly, I think it was yesterday, it might have been, well, it was this week, there was a Ethereum transaction that sent $135, but the gas charge, or the gas charge for it was 2.6 million. So there's thought that maybe someone is doing that to launder money. Hey, they send a transaction for $135 but pay 2.6 to transact it. Should have been the other way around. Who knows? I'm just saying that there's that possibility, but it really presents a consideration for a thought of what's really going on, and really adds a layer of dynamic for the financial possibilities that blockchains present. There is simply put, there's a lower popularity for dollars in the central banks and a greater popularity for gold and things of that nature. So also, the U.S. citizens are at an all-time high, 33% of disposable income that they're saving. But July 31st, we're going to go off an income cliff, because at this point, it is set for the unemployment, the bonus, the $600 bonus income per week to go to zero. Recently, it is noted that the income for U.S. citizens has actually gone up 10% recently during this crisis. But because of it's up to about 45 million people are first-time applicants for unemployment. I mean, it's just incredible. That's like 1/3. The total employment force possibility is, I think, 155 million citizens, and we're talking 45, 46 million are first-time applicants for unemployment. But that I don't want to say the word, but that crisis bonus is going to come to zero July 31st. So I think that because of that what we will likely see is the beginning of a lot of spending. So Americans have historically even, a lot saved in the banks. But when it comes down to, well, their income is going to drop, then they're going to be a lot more of that spending, because they're going to be forced to spend some of the money that they have in the bank. And that is the point at which I think we will begin to see a very, very noticeable hike in inflation. So the long and short is that we've got to be careful with what we consider money. This is not financial advice. You are responsible for your own actions, but we've got to consider within our portfolio, or what we consider as money, things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, other cryptocurrencies, gold, silver, platinum, silver coins, land, real estate, water, solar power, battery power. I really like the idea of investing in or purchasing forms of transportation. But there's artwork too. Long and short, I hope this helps you. If it's helped you, please like and subscribe. Click on the green planet right there. I'll appreciate it. Hashtag love all, serve others. I wish you well. I wish you wealth. I wish you health. And until next time, peace.